Get the whole story.
In terms of our journey, towards equitable representation and empowering our women, the way we are doing it within the country, you've just spoken about how you guys are doing it in some of your programs. Overall, looking at it as somebody who's observing this progress that you are making, is it being done with the realities on the ground, recognizing some of these dynamics, the societies that we are coming from, which is majority very patriarchal, led by men? Is it something that it's being factored into the discussion and trying to turn that tide around?
Well, yeah, what I would say is that the traction is starting. The ground is slippery, but we are having gains. If I look at the day my mom was giving birth to us, the discrimination she used to tell me about how they were treated during those days. And for example, if a woman was employed in a school as a teacher, and she gave birth before she is married, the solution was sack her. That was what used to be done those days. That is not there today. So there is changes, and there are more opportunities that has come around. And if I look at my daughter, and I look at my wife and my mother, my daughter is more clearer. She's willing to fight it out. She's willing to position herself. She's willing to be on the table. But having said that, when you come now to real life, very much like you educate our girls that they are equal to the boys, there are certain stereotypes that we still put on them, just like the way you deal with the children at home. When you have a small girl and you have a small boy, during birthday, you bring your daughter a doll and you bring your son a car. So what have you said? Your work is to give birth, and your work is to be the provider. You are the marshal guy. So those stereotypes have to be started to be removed, so that girls grow knowing, because nurturing is everything, that they are equal and they are able to become the engineer that can be, to become the architect, to become the doctor, and they should feel that right from beginning there are no inhibitions that are created, because nurturing is everything. The way we were nurtured when we were young contributed to what we are today, grocery. So that whole thing is still there's still room for our parents, even ourselves, to keep reminding our daughters that they are equal. But reminding them they are equal is not the same as saying that you are disempowered, you need to be empowered. It's being given equal opportunity, being taken to schools properly, being given the opportunity to actually get out there, not giving them too much pampering, but hardening them. It's a hardening process that needs to be done. And once you do that, women have the ability. In fact, you can imagine a woman can chew, breastfeed a baby, and walk. If you ever go and find a heap of sugarcane in one point, it was a man who was eating sugarcane at that point. The woman will do the three things. She'll chew sugarcane, she'll breastfeed the baby, and she'll still walk around. That is how powerful women are. And you can't say a person who has that ability is a weaker person. They are stronger. They have only been suppressed. It's the shackles that were put on a young elephant when it's young. Even when it grows old, it doesn't know that it has the ability to cut them off. And that's what we need to prepare women towards. And that's my challenge to women, is that they have to overcome the challenges that have been thrown to them in their lifetime.
I know, and you mentioned the biological aspect, which is a huge factor in especially the corporate world, which is very competitive, to be honest. And you are out for a year, even in the media industry, and you come, things have really changed. First of all, how do you keep up with that? And is there a corporate responsibility on the end to factor that in and make sure that at least the progress is fair? at the end of the day.
Yeah. At a corporate level, yes, there is that. Like for us, what we do is that because one of the biggest challenges is after a young lady gives birth is, the shock of when the experience of having a new baby, they need maternity leave, which is reasonable. If you pull them back from their maternity leave to leave the baby and she comes to the office, her mind is never settled because the child is very young. So we from long time ago, we gave even before the government increased the maternity leave, we were giving maternity leave of 100 days. And if there is multiple pregnancy, we add another 30 days to make sure that the woman feels stable. Then after that, she is given time to be able to be with the child until the child is stable, because the genetic makeup of a woman is to hear the child at home. So you can't ignore that. Men don't have that. So you need to manage her so that psychologically she is able to deliver her services at work and be able to double up herself at home and be able to do what needs to be done, because that we cannot take it away from them. But then as an employer, you need to have to undertake deliberate actions that make sure even after this lady is through with that activity, you still give her opportunity to compete on the table with men. So you must come up with deliberate efforts and interventions that lift her back. And remember, women do the nation a service of bringing children up and also making sure they are reasonable human beings, both men and women. We all go through the same process. So we have deliberately to create systems that gives them the opportunity to compete fairly with men.
Definitely. Yeah. That's important. In fact, even the physical space of it was a huge discussion for the longest time. I mean, if my child is too young, and I'm supposed to be coming to work, I've even created an opportunity, a space for that. I remember one company did that in the country, and it was big news. Oh, you have a space for somebody can place their child and maybe continue working. Is it something? I know there's the company you're talking about where you have a place where young mothers can bring their children. That's a good thing to do. But in practical sense, it may not work, because not every corporate has enough space for that and resources for that. But what we have done as a corporate is to create mothers' rooms where they can go express their milk, store the milk, and they are given time of, they have 2 times in a day where they can go express their milk, store it, and when they are taking home, it's already good for the child. And then give them enough time to be with the child in the beginning, so that the issues of breastfeeding the child exclusively for 6 months is put on the table, so that they know that this child must be exclusively breastfed for 6 months. Because if you don't do that, then you have another challenge of the child doesn't come out well, the woman is always in hospital, the child is always sick. So it's an investment as a corporate that you've got to do. So in our offices, you find that's what we have done. They can go express the milk and store it, take it home, and then leave it with a nanny who can be able now to give the child that milk. Okay. Instead of now moving the child to formula milk immediately, we do talk within the institution to enable women to focus on that, because a child who is properly exclusively breastfed for 6 months, that child comes out good and doesn't become a headache for the parent. So there are many ways. The other people, what they do is they have flex time where you can tell them they can come at this time, leave early. So women should still work, they should still participate in building the corporates, but the employer should create avenues that makes their work easy and giving them an opportunity also to participate in their home issues. That's so incredible to hear that you guys are so intentional, because for the longest time the notion about corporate is that corporate has no soul. It doesn't feel. Only that matters is, okay, have you done what you're supposed to do? Bottom line is, okay, we are good, we are at peace. But having that personal concern, and I know now one of the biggest discussions that you're having in the world is the issue of mental health. I mean, the awareness and the spotlight on it is very, very credible. And when you talk about mental health and being a man or a woman, we can't divorce the two. It's so incredible. Maybe from your space and as an organization, are you taking intentional to look at the issue of the mental health of the people and the people that you serve and work with you also?
But first of all, we have a very good medical cover for our employees. It not only covers the employee, but it covers 4 members of, their husband and 4 members of their family. So that is inclusive of the children. So you find that that gives them, for the family, peace, because they know they have a comprehensive medical cover on outpatient, inpatient. So that stops being an issue. And the issues of mental health, we have a HR department that follows up and looks after our employee. And the work-life balance is very observed, so that we make sure that people are not straining. And if anybody shows indicator, because the young people we are employing today, you know where they are coming from. They are people who have emotional issues. They know there are issues that they need to be looked after. That we take care of, so that we have a good working group. For 5 years we were voted the best corporate company to work for by our employees.
Yes.
Yeah, not because of the salaries you give them, but because of the way you deal with their issues. And that's what every corporate should do. Every employer should strive to be a good corporate citizen by looking after the environment, its employees, and its customers.
Okay.
So once you do those 3, then the rest of it, any profits you make, you can take it to the shareholder. Before you have done that, you have done the first 3, you have no business telling the shareholders you've made profit. You've ruined your employees' lives, you have destroyed the environment, and you have harmed your customers. Then you have no business saying you've made profit.
Definitely. Yeah. And finishing it up briefly, I know we saw the NSC ring the bell for gender equality, very, very bold steps that have been outlined. And I know we'll be in the same spot next year. And we'll have our numbers in terms of deliberations and holding each other accountable, in terms of, empowering our women in whichever spaces that we are in. As a company yourself, are there any goals that you've set that next year when you have a similar discussion, we'll have a ground and say, have you achieved 1 and 2, and why didn't you?
Yeah. For me, my life is very easy. I have a board that judges me on 3 things, which is called the triple bottom line. 1, how did I impact my customers financially? Did I make them better or worse? 2nd, how did I deal with their social issues? Am I doing what is it? And I'm rated socially and financially. And then, how did I tackle the environmental issues? How did I deal with it? I report on 3 things. What my charge to Nairobi Stock Exchange is, please take these issues and mainstream them, make them deliverables. What is not measured is not done. If it is gender issues, let's look at corporates that are in the stock exchange and let there be a deliverable on gender balance.
Thank you very much, Mr. Githaiga, for your input. Mr. Mwangi Githaiga, Managing Director, Kenya Women Microfinance Bank. And hear me say his board is 54% women. He's at peace. What is measured against in terms of his performance interest, you've heard him say, but key is that what is not measured is not done. So even when it comes to women empowerment and pursuit for equity in our society, are there goals that are set and is something done, so that it's not just a ceremony every year? That's very important. That was our discussion touching on matters gender equity in Kenya, especially in the corporate space, and trickling down to the very, very people on the ground in terms of investing in women-led enterprises and women businesses. Well, with that said, that's all. But before I leave you, of course, we have our markets. Let's take a look at that.
KTN News. Get the whole story.
Happy anniversary.
Mbona hii mabati kina dad na mom bado inakaa mpya? Na hii nyumba imekuwa hapa for so many years. Na pia umelelewa hapa.
Wow, imagine hata nilikuwa sija notice. Rufus,
wewe ni fundi wangu wa miaka mingi sana. Haya mabati yatadumu kweli?
Huyu kijana nilimwambia anunue mabati ya Dumuzas.
Usibahatishe mabati. Hakikisha umeangalia alama za kudhibitisha Dumuzas halisi. Chagua Dumuzas, mabati inayodumu kudumu. Isitoshe, Dumuzas ndio mabati pekee inayokuja na warranty.
Sitaki tena kubahatisha.
Mabati inayodumu kudumu.